Good day to you. Once again, my name is Tolulope Ige. This is Insight for Living, and today we'll be looking at freedom from the fear of man. A caged bird may sing, but it doesn't soar, though it has wings. They remain unused, confined within the limits of the cage. It may grow accustomed to its captivity, even finding comfort in its predictable surroundings. But deep inside, the bird was created for something more, for flight, for freedom, and the open sky. In the same way, many people live as captives, not in physical chains, but in the invisible bondage of fear. Fear of what others think, fear of rejection, fear of losing approval, or fear of stepping beyond human expectations. But God didn't create us to be controlled by the opinions of others. He calls us to live in the freedom He has given to all of us. 1 Corinthians 7:23 declares, "We were bought at a price, do not become slaves of human beings." This verse is a reminder that no person has the right to enslave another, whether physical, whether emotional, whether mentally or spiritually. So when Jesus died on the cross, really, He paid the highest price for freedom. His sacrifice did not just free us from sin and emotional or eternal separation, from God. It also freed us from the need to be controlled by people's opinions, expectations, or approval. We belong to Christ, friends, and Christ alone. In many societies, the fear of people is one of the strongest form of bondage. It shows up, in different ways. A young professional remains stuck in a job because of fear of disappointing some people who expect them to follow a certain career path. A believer hesitates to speak the truth or live out their faith, openly because they are afraid of criticism, opposition, or rejection. A woman stays in an emotionally abusive relationship, afraid of what people will say if she walks away. A leader sometimes compromises their values to maintain popularity or avoid confrontation. An entrepreneur or a creative person might hide their talent because they fear being judged. This kind of fear is extremely dangerous because it limits a person's ability to follow God wholeheartedly, right? Just fear of man. So when we allow human opinion to shape our decisions more than God's truth, we place ourselves in a trap. We become slaves to approval, always adjusting our behaviors to fit expectations that God never intended for us to carry. Living to please people may offer a temporary acceptance or approval, but it often comes at a great cost. You compromise values, missed opportunities, and a life that lacks true fulfillment when we prioritize the opinion of people over the voice of God. We risk living a life that is shaped by fear instead of faith. The fear of people can hinder our obedience to God. Many individuals feel called to step out in faith, whether in ministry, in business, or personal decisions. But they hesitate to do so because they are afraid of how others will perceive them. They worry about being misunderstood, sometimes mocked, or even opposed. But God never calls us to live according to the standards of man. Instead, He calls you and I to trust Him wholeheartedly and fully, even when it means standing alone. Freedom from the fear of men begins with understanding our identity in Christ. Friends, if you truly grasp the depth of what Jesus has done for you, you will no longer live seeking human validation. We were created to live for God's purpose, not to fit into the expectations of the world. True transformation happens when we let go of people's opinions and focus on what God says about us. This does not mean we should ignore wisdom, godly counsel, or the need to respect others. However, it doesn't mean that it does mean, I beg you, that no human being should have the power to control your identity or your choices or relationships with God. Fear is a weapon that people, institutions, and systems use to manipulate and dominate others. But God calls us to be free. So if you have been living under the fear of people, there are a few steps you can take to break free. Number one, recognize who owns you. Jesus paid for you with his life, and his opinion is the only one that matters. Renew your mind. That's the second thing you must do. Renew your mind with God's truth, and remind yourself daily that you are not defined by human expectations. So stop seeking human approval and shift your focus from impressing people to pleasing God. All right, shift focus from impressing people to pleasing God. Walk in boldness and make decisions based on God's leading, not fear of rejection. Trust that obedience to God will bring greater rewards than human approval. And that's so true. You must also surround yourself with the right people. Choose friendships and mentorships that encourage faith, courage, and freedom in Christ rather than fear and conformity. God never intended for any human being to be a slave to another, whether physically, emotionally, or spiritually. Every person has the right to live in the freedom and dignity that Christ has given them. Whether it is the fear of societal expectation, cultural pressure, or individual relationships, no one should have control over another person's destiny. So I will encourage you today to break free from the need for human validation. Break free. Set yourself free from human validation. Stand firm in the identity God has given you. Live boldly, friends. Not as slave to people's expectation, but as one who has been set free by the one who holds your future. Till I come your way again next time, my name is Tolulope Ige. God bless you and bye-bye.